John, hi.
Hi.
Recently, you were talking about how the chloroplasts.
How the what?
Chloroplasts?
Chloroplasts,
We're
yes.
running the show?
We live in a planet with an oxidizing atmosphere in a universe of hydrogen atmosphere, which is certainly not oxidizing. And we owe it all to the chloroplasts. The chloroplasts have their own genetic programming. They're not part of the tree. They're not part of your spinach. They have their own genetic programmings, and they make our food for us and dump oxygen out as waste. And they've left us with a whole planet of with an oxidizing atmosphere. And almost nobody feels that he owes it to them. I had at least recognized my debt.
John, what does it do to your perspective when you look through a telescope and you see objects that are, say, a couple of million light years away, so the light left a couple million years ago, and you see something else where the light left a few hundred years ago, and so forth? What does that do to your perspective of the view of the universe?
Well, you can see that there are things a lot farther away than downtown.
We don't see it now.
Yes, you can see it now. It happened then, but you can see it now. You see, in 1905, Einstein noticed that space and time are a pair of opposites. If you see something 1 light year away, you see it 1 year ago. And the away comes in squared with the plus sign, and the ago comes in squared with the minus sign, and they're both equal, and the total goes to 0. You see, the universe isn't made out of space and time. It's not made out of forces. For every force, there's an opposite force. For every momentum, there's an opposite momentum. For every angular momentum, there's an opposite angular momentum. And in the same thing for space and time. Everything you have seen away from you in space, you have seen in the past. And the time ago comes in squared with the minus sign, and the distance away comes in squared with the plus sign, and it's always been equal. And the total has always been 0. Now this is way back, this is new in 1905. It's not new now.
John, what is the most beautiful thing you've ever seen?
The universe.
A little more specific? Anything specifically?
Well, I think the moon is very charming. And let me ask you a question. Why is the full moon 9 times brighter than a quarter moon?
Does it have to do with the angular reflection of the surface?
Has to do with what?
The angular reflection of the surface?
It has a
It has to do with the fact that the moon is covered with glass beads. Any 4th grader could have figured this out. Only one astronomer in the history of astronomy figured that the moon is going to be covered with glass beads. The moon gets hit with these great big things, you see, and the explosion is much harder than is necessary to vaporize the rocks. Now the moon doesn't have any atmosphere, so the stone vapor condenses to spherical glass beads. Now spherical glass beads shine back the light from the sun toward the sun. So when the moon is full, we see the glass beads on the moon shining back toward the sun, and we're on the sun's side, so we see that light. Now you can see the long glass bead streamers from the crater Tycho. They would reach from Los Angeles to Denver. They're great, big, long glass bead streamers. And you see them when the moon is full. You don't see them when the moon is quarter, you jerk. You see them when the moon is full. And also, they're glass beads orbiting the sun. So if you look right down the Earth's shadow through the night sky, if you look right down the Earth's shadow through the night sky, you see the glass beads orbiting the sun shining back at you. That's called the Gegenschein. Gegen is German for against.
Do you regret that you have not traveled to the moon? Would you like to go there?
I dreamed one time that they're going to take me to the moon. What a lovely dream. But they're not going to take me to the moon. There's no danger of that. I can hardly walk here.
John, what are some of the other things that you like people to think about when they're looking at the moon? If they stay late enough tonight to look at the moon through the telescope, what are some of the other things you'd like them to notice about it?
Well, there are a lot of things I like to have people notice about it. But I have to tell you a story. In San Francisco, I've been getting out a 9.5-incher about 3 miles from the beach. And we were looking at the moon. It was a little fatter than first quarter. We were looking at the moon. And this lady looks through it. She says, "What's shining on it?" I thought people knew what shines on the moon. It never crossed my mind that that's a problem. What's shining on it?
Did you tell her? Do you think we should go back to the moon?
Oh, I don't object to that. But we had the telescopes in New Arrivie. That's the capital city of the Hopi Reservation. And it rained. We had to wrap the 24-incher all up. And when the rain was over, we had a full moon on the last night, which was all clear. And I mentioned to those Indian girls that the moon is covered with glass beads, and that 1/3 of the surface material on the moon is glass. And one of those girls asked me, "How do you know that?" Well, I said, when they came back, they brought that stuff from the moon. Someone went there. Someone went there. I'm quoting.
Try one more time, John. What should we look for tonight?
Whatever you can see.
Well, what do we see with those big black splotches on the moon? What's that all about?
Well, I often have people who have looked through the telescope at the moon. I have them look again. You see those 3 big, dark, smooth areas in a row? The middle one is the Sea of Tranquility. That's where the first footprints are. And they'll be there for 1,000,000 years. Well, we don't know that it won't get hit by an asteroid between now and then. But at any rate. And so I tell them, the Sea of Tranquility is as big as Oregon. If you had a picture of Oregon as big as that, could you see Portland? Well, never mind the footprints.
What are they? What are these big black seas?
They're great. They're places where the moon got hit by an asteroid, and the lava that came out was mantle lava. That's why they're dark. That's mantle lava. It's the same here. Same on our planet. When we get asteroid impacts that go all the way down to the mantle, like Hawaii. The Hawaiian Islands started way up near Bering Straits, and all the way down through the mountain of these, all the way down through the ocean of these little mountain tops. And there's another mountain coming up south of the Hawaiian Islands now. I understand that's going to be taller than the one that we have now.